These days, critics and audiences often disagree on films, making critic scores feel increasingly irrelevant. This leaves many of us to rely on trusted friends or YouTubers for recommendations. But while critic and audience splits are often expected, it's far rarer for general audiences to be completely divided on a film. We have obvious examples like The Last Jedi and Midsummer, but one that immediately comes to mind for me is David Robert Mitchell's 2018 film Under the Silver Lake. And I'll be honest, I absolutely love this film, so it was a shock to me when I learned that 50% of people either loved this movie or absolutely despised it. And as a fan, I wanted to approach this objectively and understand what about this film causes so much divisiveness. And I know a major criticism of Under the Silver Lake stems from its refusal to provide a satisfying conclusion to many of its plot points, symbols, and conspiracies, and we'll get to that. But first, let's talk about noir as a genre for a moment. Noir has always been about perspective. Unlike genres that give you a broad view of events, noir stories trap us inside the protagonist's limited understanding of the world. We don't see the full picture, we only see what they see, piecing together the mystery as they do. Take Chinatown as an example. We follow Jake as he uncovers a conspiracy, but we only know as much as he does. The film never cuts away to show what the villains are doing behind the scenes, and this limited understanding builds tension and engagement, making each discovery feel like we're solving the case alongside him. In Blade Runner 2049, they take this even further by centering the story on Kay, a protagonist who isn't just limited in knowledge, but is actively misled by his own assumptions. For most of the film, we believe one thing about his identity, only to later realize the truth is something else entirely. The majority of films default to third-person omniscient storytelling, cutting between characters and locations for a broader understanding of the story at large. But Under the Silver Lake deliberately restricts the audience to a third-person limited perspective, keeping us trapped in Sam's experience. We only see what Sam sees, never cutting away to events beyond his awareness. This forces us to piece together the mystery with the same incomplete information he has, creating an immersive yet frustrating experience. The film also plays with unreliable narration, not by lying to us, but by making us question whether Sam's paranoia is justified or if he's just seeing connections that don't exist. By using a strict third-person limited perspective, something much more common in novels than in film, Under the Silver Lake mirrors the feeling of reading a book from a protagonist's point of view. We're not omniscient, we're just as lost as Sam. So now we've kind of established that Under the Silver Lake forces us to see the world entirely through Sam's eyes, never cutting away, never offering a perspective beyond his. But what does this have to do with anything, and why would it frustrate the viewers? Well, what it comes down to is the film is controlling us, the audience. In most films, even if we follow a single protagonist, we still get extra context, scenes away from them, or just a clearer sense of objective reality. But Under the Silver Lake denies us that. We're stuck in Sam's head, and that creates three major frustrations. Most mysteries eventually clarify what's real and what isn't, but Under the Silver Lake operates in this weird middle ground. It confirms just enough to keep us engaged, but never enough to feel like we truly understand what's happening. Take Sarah for example. We do get proof that she's alive and part of something larger. Sam hears her voice over the phone from a deep underground cult-like bunker, but what does that actually mean? Why was she chosen for this? What is the deeper purpose of this underground society? Is this connected to the cryptic symbols and hidden messages, or is Sam just tying unrelated things together? The film confirms that something is happening, but still keeps us in the dark about its larger meaning. It's a tease, just enough of an answer to prevent us from dismissing Sam entirely, but never enough to let us feel like we've actually solved anything. The mystery isn't a total dead end. It's even worse than that. It feels solvable, but the film refuses to give us the last piece of the puzzle. In classic noir, we often follow a detective figure unraveling some type of mystery, but usually we have some degree of separation from their obsession. Films like Chinatown and Double Indemnity might feature protagonists consumed by a case or a scheme, but the audience isn't necessarily trapped inside their head the way we are in Under the Silver Lake. Most noir films provide a sense of control to the audience through one of the following: voiceover narration, giving the audience a structured retelling of events, even if it's from a flawed or biased perspective similar to Sunset Boulevard, or supporting characters who ground the story, offering alternative viewpoints or exposition like Evelyn in Chinatown. And finally, investigative clarity, which means even when the mystery gets messy, the detective usually uncovers some kind of truth by the end. Like in The Maltese Falcon, when the Falcon is finally in their hands, but it turns out to be a replica. But Under the Silver Lake strips us of all of these safety nets. There's no voiceover, just pure immersion in Sam's deteriorating mindset. No real side characters to offer any kind of clarity. Everyone around him either speaks cryptically, randomly disappears, or adds fuel to his paranoia. In all the noir films I mentioned above, there's a point where the protagonist could end their case satisfied, with at least enough information to put this run of events behind them and move on with their lives. Under the Silver Lake never really grants that level of clarity. Sarah's fate, the hidden messages, and the broader conspiracy remain just out of reach. It refuses to provide even a concrete non-resolution like in The Maltese Falcon. Now this is likely the most common and honestly understandable reason for viewers' dismissal of the film. If we watch a film with a mystery of some kind, but it refuses to give us answers, we usually assume that the filmmaker still knows them. But Under the Silver Lake isn't just withholding answers, it suggests that there might not be any. Most mysteries assure us that the truth exists, even if we don't see it. But here, the film actively undermines that idea. Think about how the film presents its world. Everyone besides Sam acts in strange, dreamlike ways. Symbols pop up everywhere, hinting at hidden messages, but they never connect to a clear solution. The tone shifts between playful, creepy, and absurd. I mean, fuck, the whole intro is shot like it's a horror film. This makes it super unclear as to whether we should be taking Sam's quest seriously or if we're supposed to mock it. It also leaves the audiences deeply unsettled, because even if you watch the film multiple times, it doesn't offer a clear aha moment where everything clicks. The entire structure of the film mirrors Sam's futile search for truth. We're left digging through symbols, trying to make sense of something that may never add up. And I personally think this is Mitchell's intention, to make us dig and dig at red herrings and half clues that even he doesn't know the answer to. Or maybe if he does know the answers, he doesn't think they matter. Either way, to me it feels obvious that he finds that searching for meaning is more interesting than actually finding it. Now, if you're a fan of all those symbolism of Silver Lake Explained videos on YouTube, you may disagree with me on this point, but let me give you a few examples to possibly bring you to my side here. The topless woman from across his apartment owns a parrot, and throughout the film it creates intrigue as to what the bird is saying. Is it a name? Is it a string of numbers when played backwards? And at the end of the film he investigates the bird by sleeping with the woman, and we're told directly she has no idea what it means. We're even met with a moment of realization in this moment, which I believe is Sam realizing he's still out there chasing ghosts even after all he's been through. When Sam meets the songwriter, he discovers that pop music contains hidden codes meant only for the elite. This revelation seems huge, that is until we realize it doesn't actually lead anywhere concrete. The film repeatedly references an unknown dog killer roaming Los Angeles, but we never truly understand the significance. Is it real? Is it a metaphor? A connection to Sam? Film drops hints but refuses to clarify. A terrifying, almost supernatural figure who attacks Sam and then vanishes for the rest of the film? Is she real? Is she a hallucination? A symbol of something deeper? The film gives us nothing. And honestly, I think this is a totally understandable reason to dislike something. I mean, just the other day on my podcast, we were having a discussion about ambiguity.
Because I want the answers of the film to be in the film. I don't want to have to decide what to take from the film based on my own beliefs.
You don't like any ambiguity in film?
I'm not a big fan of it personally.
And obviously, I'm generally not a fan of it. And while ambiguity usually frustrates me, here it feels deliberate. Forcing us into Sam's mindset makes us want to dig and dig for that moment of clarity where everything fits together. But ultimately, this isn't that type of film. At its core, Under the Silver Lake is a subversion of the noir genre. Traditional noir films often revolve around the pursuit of truth, no matter how ugly or cynical the truth may be. Even if the protagonist doesn't get a happy ending, they usually uncover something concrete. But Under the Silver Lake completely subverts this. Sam isn't just searching for answers, he's grasping at shadows, and honestly so are we. Think about it. If you get broken up with, you might never truly understand why. You can analyze every conversation, every moment leading up to it, but you never know exactly what was going on in that person's head. People disappear from our lives without explanation. We lose things without ever finding them again. We search for meaning in places there might not be any. And that's why I hold this movie in such high regards, because it feels very real and relatable. But if you don't like it, whatever. I mean, that's understandable as well. And yeah, that's really all I got for you guys. Have a good one.